Hi everyone, and thanks for joining. Today I'm going to be making my mechanics and garden soap recipe that I use. It's pretty standard. I use it for a lot of my soap, but some of them I market it that way. It's a pretty basic recipe. The oils that I use are olive oil, coconut oil, palm oil, avocado oil, shea butter, and castor oil. I'll give you the measurements here in a second, but typically what I do is I start out measuring all my hard oils and getting those and putting them in a master pot that I use, and then once the hard oils are measured out, I do add some of the liquid oils and I turn on the heat really low on the stove and just sort of melt those down. Some people also use a double boiler so they don't burn their oil, so you do have to be very careful when you're doing this because you don't want to lose any of the good properties that these oils have. Another thing that I do when I measure out my oils is I also measure out my lye solution prior to doing my oils, and then I sort of just to the side, scoop in a spoon or two of the lye into the water, so hopefully it keeps the temperature down and I don't have to wait as long for, or at least it seems like I'm not waiting as long for the lye water to cool. So for this recipe, I said I use olive oil. The olive oil, I use 11.6 ounces. I also use coconut oil. Coconut, I use 10 ounces. Palm oil, I use 6.66. And the oil that I get, I do make sure where they source it from is sustainable. So I know there's a lot of controversy about that. I also have avocado oil that I use. I use 5 ounces even. And I also use 5 ounces even of the shea butter. I also use castor oil in my recipe to give it a nice bubbly lather. So for the castor oil, I use 1.6 ounces. And now for my lye that I said that I measure out, I will measure out 5.5 ounces, and the water I measure out 12.3 ounces. Again, just make sure you're safe, and I'm assuming that all of you have at least made a batch of soap before. If not, this is a good one to do too. Like I said, I've been using it for a few years and it's never steered me wrong. It's a super bubbly recipe. It's also very like slip and slippery. Is that not what I wanted to say? Slick and slippery. Once I'm done with my oils, I'm going to go ahead and mix my micas together. So I'm using this plumberry pink mica powder from Crafter's Choice, and I'm also using a brick red mica that I have. I'm not sure where this one came from. I've had it for a very long time because I just want the red to be very vibrant, and the brick red is kind of a little bit dull, and I'm hoping this pinkberry powder keeps it like really bright and shimmery. So I'll go ahead and give that a good mix. And like I said, I have my lye water over here cooling down. I just want to remind everyone though to make sure you do wear gloves when you're messing with the lye. Sometimes I forget, and I try to be very careful, but if you do splash any of it on you, make sure you always have vinegar handy, and that will help. It will basically stop the burn. So that's what I've had to do before, so just be careful. But now my oils are ready to go and mix, and I added my lye water, and it should just take a couple minutes. I like to get this to a light trace. This recipe again is pretty good. It seems to give me enough time to work if I did want to do a swirl design. Today I'm not going to do any swirl design. I'm just going to kind of do something a little bit different than I normally do, but it's not going to be anything too extravagant. I also added the Cranberry Fig fragrance oil from Brambleberry. That is one of my favorite oils. And like I said, here's the reddish pink color that I'm mixing now. I think it's the color that I like. I'm also adding in some bentonite clay just to help with the slickness of the soap, and that's going to go in the bottom layer. It's going to hopefully stay a little bit more white to gray color. And I don't know about you guys, but when I use clays, I always let them sit for a few hours. I add a couple drops of water just to get the clay damp so it's not like absorbing water from the soap mixture, because I don't want the balance of the oils and everything to be off. So I'm going to take this, the whiter gray color, and I'm going to lay that down as the bottom base of my soap. And hopefully it'll look the way I want. We will see. There's a lot in there. I gotta just scrape it out. And then what I want to do though, once it's scraped out, I want to dust a layer of mica in between the color layers. I haven't done this before, but I've seen other people do it and I like the way it looks. So we're going to test it out today. I have a sampler that I think I got it from Brambleberry, and it is a black mica, a black shimmery mica, and I don't know, it's just been sitting in my soap supply closet, so I just decided to use it today, and we're going to see how it turns out. But I'm just going to pour a lot of it on there. And you can use a sifter, it's probably a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner to do. Now I'm going to add my red layer. I'm going to try not to break the layer because I want it to have a nice smooth line. So get all the red out. And once that's out, I will, shake my mold and kind of even everything. Hopefully it stays even. Also, I make my own molds and I adjust them if I need to. So I keep those so it's loose and easy to adjust. And we'll do some black dusting on top. And then I'm going to spray the top with rubbing alcohol, and it's going to kind of, you see what it did with the mica, kind of spread it out. So that's good. And then I'm going to add some cranberry seeds at the top since this is the Cranberry Fig soap, and hopefully the detail will show up nicely once it's cut, and I'm hoping the cranberry seeds will pop. Okay, it's a few days later and I cut my soap. Everything seems to look great. What I wanted to show you is that little black line in between. It looks like it came out well, and I'm really loving the black mica that I used on top, and also the details of the cranberry seeds. I think it's going to give it a nice look. Also, one thing I forgot to mention about the soap is that this is a very soft recipe, so the soap I usually let it cure for a few more days before I actually cut into it. So again, you can see it. There was a little bit of bubbles in this one, so I guess I didn't do a good job of, making sure all the air bubbles were out. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like my channel. I'll be sharing more soap recipe videos with you all in the future.